What's up, everybody? It's Valkerion, and today we're going to talk about Palworld and why it's probably the best game that's come out in recent years. Well, I might have been joking when I said that earlier, but Palworld is a really interesting little survival game that has come out to an insane amount of success. As of recording this video, it has sold over 4 million copies in just 2 days. 2 days, it sold 4 million copies for this stupid little indie survival game that a lot of people have seen but not really paid much attention to, other than its very strange premise and look. So this game has come out in early access, and that's why this is an impressions video and not a full review, and that's also why I'm jumping on it a little sooner instead of like playing through all of the game, so to speak, before I wanted to jump in and tell people about Palworld. So first and foremost, Palworld is not really a Pokemon-like. I think that is the biggest issue with a lot of its success. Is a lot of people are saying like, oh yeah, it's Pokemon, and it's not. It's not. Palworld is first and foremost a survival game. It is like Ark or geez, I don't even know any other survival games, honestly. It is like Ark, it is like what was that game called? Not Valorant, Valheim. It is like Lego Fortnite. Yeah, the Fortnite Lego mode where it's a survival game. Actually, that is the only survival game I've played, is the Lego Fortnite game that came out a few weeks ago. So that shows you how tuned in I am to this genre. But yeah, first and foremost, it is a survival game. It is not Pokemon first. It has Pokemon elements in it, but the major focus of the game is survival. You do have meters and resource management to take care of as the game is played. You do have to make a base, you have to gather resources, you have to make sure everything is well taken care of while you're away. There is elements of danger at night where your character can get cold, so on and so forth. Nothing really new in the genre from what it looks like. Where things do take a turn, though, is Palworld's inclusion of pals. They are literally called pals. These are the very cute, not Pokemon, but definitely not Pokemon slash Digimon that you see in the game and that everyone is kind of losing their collective minds over at the moment. That is one of the things that sets this game apart from other survival games. That is this game's unique twist, is that it has these cute little creatures that you can collect, battle, and use to help manage your bases, to help manage your resources, to help you survive in this world. That is what they're here for. They are more tertiary weapons than the main element of the game, and I think so much of that hasn't been said enough. Like, a lot of people say, oh, Pokemon should take notes from this game's success and like the reason it is blowing up, and it's like, not really, because they're two very separate entities or attempts at things. So Palworld is a survival game first and foremost, but it does have these elements of Pokemon-esque monster catching and battling and whatnot. Another thing that sets it apart is how you battle as a character. Whereas in Pokemon you just use your monsters to battle, and same in like Digimon and basically any other monster raising game. In this game you actually use weapons. You use a club, you use a spear, and most famously you use guns. You use projectile weapons. You can get guns, like actual guns in this game, and you use them to fight the monsters, to weaken them and capture them. You use it to battle bosses, you use it to battle evil trainers, evil trainers, yeah, they're called like trainers or something. You use it to battle those other evil people and to fulfill your goals as you proceed through the game's content. And once again, this is early access, so that means the game is not finished. It is very much a work in progress, and I think a lot of people kind of forget that, because you do have to pay to enter the game. It is a game that you have to buy. You can't just like download it and try it out. It is a 30, I guess the equivalent of $30. Here in Japan it was 3,000 yen. That's with the 10% off Steam bonus at the moment. But it is early access, and I think because of that, I think you have to give it lots of grains of salt, but not in every area. So I'm giving it grains of salt in terms of its general content, because when I first started playing Palworld, I didn't really understand that the first and foremost thing about it was that it's a survival game. Because like I said before, Fortnite Lego was the only survival game I've ever played, and that was only like not even a full month ago is when that started, maybe? No, that was a month ago it started. But I played that and I was like, is this a genre I like? Oh my god. That was kind of the wake-up call I had. Not that I have like a penchant for Fortnite, like I tried Fortnite and I was like, I kind of just like fell off that train very quickly, as always, because I try it like once a year and I just immediately don't get hooked on it. But that's neither here nor there, because we're talking about Palworld today. But yeah, it is a survival game, and I'm enjoying being in the world and just collecting stuff and like going through the tasks and goals and trying to make the experience for myself and gathering monsters, having them help me build bases, managing them, managing everything. And one of the cool things about Palworld is you can customize the game server or the game world that you're jumping into. You can either go by their default settings for easy, medium, and hard, or easy, normal, and hard. You can also do a custom game where you can like dial up the gathering rates, you can dial up the XP, how easy it is to capture the monsters, so on and so forth. So I've still been tweaking that kind of stuff, trying to find the perfect balance for me personally. But in general, Palworld is a pretty fun experience. You can see the groundwork that they're working with here, and it's pretty fun. I don't know why exactly it blew up into 4 million plus sales, with also being one of the most played games on Steam ever, while also being definitely the most played at the current moments, but with over 1 million players logged in at any one time, which is insane. But Palworld is a good time, but you can definitely see the shaky work in progress flaws that it has. That said, it's not without controversy either, because this is being made by a very small team, and I read an interview earlier today. I was reading it, and this is in Japanese because this is made by a Japanese team, and there are quite a few Japanese indie developers, but they're not on the same level, I would say, and I don't mean to offend anybody by saying this, they're not on the same level as something like Devolver or, you know, some of these other bigger indie studios that are really just like going for stuff and having really high quality products. This is their third game, I think, and I think they were mentioning, yeah, we had like a game before and no one really picked it up. We had a second game that made it to a release and it wasn't that popular either. Palworld is something that they've shown multiple times. We've seen trailers for it. We've seen it at, I believe, one of the Microsoft showcases at not E3s and a few other places, but I don't think anyone really expected Palworld to just like explode in popularity like this for seemingly no reason. For seemingly no particular reason other than its very weird premise of Pokemon survival with guns in the world. But yeah, in the interview they were saying like, yeah, we were shopping around for publishers for Palworld, and they couldn't find anybody. And as time went on, they just kind of kept trucking along with their projects, and they weren't really getting any publishers. So eventually they just kind of decided to do the project themselves, and they've been trucking along that way. And I'm sure every company that denied publishing Palworld is now kicking themselves, because seldom few games blow up like this, and you can definitely tell the very small team that's making this has had no idea of the success that they were just like fumbling around with this entire time. So Palworld is a success, but like I said earlier, it's not without controversy, because there is lots of controversy about, just to start off, the design of the world and the monsters themselves. A lot of people are saying like, if you just look at the monsters, they are very much Pokemon-esque. They very much have either similar designs, which I will give them some leeway, because the designs in Pokemon are kind of, there are over 1,000 Pokemon, and even in things like Digimon, you can see like some kind of what's the word for it, like convergence in some of the designs. Palworld is a little egregious in some areas. You can definitely see like, oh yeah, this is inspired by, but it's like not just inspired by, but like definitely not that thing in a few cases. But that's also what makes Palworld fun and interesting, is like to see the very obvious callouts and then the ones that seem a little more original. But there's also some controversy with a lot of people thinking and noticing that Palworld has lots of asset flipping in it, which makes sense. It is, once again, a in-progress title, so it makes sense that a lot of the assets in it are not their own, you know? So, and that is exactly how a lot of games are actually made, whether people know that or not. A lot of them are have assets that are bought on what are they called, like database stores or whatever, where you can buy or license assets from previously created projects, or just kind of projects that are just openly out there. Like you can buy like Stone Archway number 7 or something like that, and then you can just like use it in your game because you purchased it. You purchased the access to access that item. So Palworld has lots of that in it, and also there is some pushback against the AI generated features that Palworld is also using. AI is all the rage nowadays. A lot of people are for or against using AI in gaming, in artwork, in just any creative capacity. Japan is kind of, here in Japan, the apprehension towards using AI is less than you might think. Lots of companies are kind of embracing AI, or where they can, they're trying to embrace it. And Palworld is just an example of that. We've seen like companies like Square Enix getting quoted as saying like, yeah, we want to integrate more AI features into our games because we want to use AI to help the development process, the art process, and blah, 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 blah. A lot of people don't like that, but it's the future. That's where not just the gaming industry is going, but that's where lots of industries are going, so. But there are also some other smaller controversies with Palworld. I've noticed some of their choice in language for the game's translation, and just how they like mention terms and things like that. Like Palworld uses a few terms that I think will get them in trouble with more sensitive people, using terms like slave and in the workforce capacity, and just kind of general like kind of abuse of the animals in the world. Granted, Palworld is kind of satire-esque in its approach at moments, but those are things that a bigger studio wouldn't touch with a 10-foot pole, kind of, just to put it in perspective. Like, if this was made by a bigger studio or had a bigger publisher, that's probably something they would say, hey, gotta nip that in the bud right away. That said, how is Palworld as a game? It's alright. It is aggressively alright. It's pretty good if you like survival games, but like I said, it's definitely a work in progress. It is early access. There is some, the game itself is kind of, not resource heavy, but it's clearly unoptimized at the moment. It needs work in its optimization. They've talked about how the success of its early access on Steam, and I believe Xbox Game Pass, it's also early access there. They've talked about how, yeah, we're considering like a PlayStation version, like considering how much attention this has gotten. I wouldn't be surprised if Microsoft or even Sony says like, hey, can we like strike a deal, do some like some assistance on development if you need it, stuff like that. So I wouldn't be surprised if because once again I believe Palworld was shown in Microsoft's side, if I'm remembering correctly. So this might be a chance for Microsoft to have something pretty big in their lineup, because it seems like they need something. But yeah, Palworld has been interesting. It's an interesting little project. once again, clearly not done. There's no major story moments in it yet. There are boss fights, like boss arena and dungeons, which are pretty cool to see pop up. There is multiplayer, so you can play this with friends. You can play it with up to 32 people in a server, so you can all run around collecting pals, collecting resources, building a base, so on and so forth. It seems like there's lots of groundwork in this game that's finished, but the game itself is not finished. So go in with certain caveats and certain expectations, and I think Palworld will be a pretty fun game, and I can see why it's blowing up. It is a genuinely fun and interesting game to just interact with and just be in the world of. It does leave lots of things to be desired. Some of the controls are a little finicky. I don't really like the capturing controls because it's a little too easy to just kind of press that button and then just lose a resource by like tossing out your sphere, not your Pokeball, your Pal Ball, whatever they're gonna call it. But yeah, I don't have much more to say about Palworld other than it's not as much as Pokemon as the internet in general is making people think. It is 100% a survival game first, with Pokemon-esque visual elements in it. Oh yeah, another thing I want to talk about is Palworld is essentially taking everything that's been popular over the last 5 to 10 years in gaming and just kind of like mashing them all together, as we've seen with multiple other games recently. These are definitely not Zelda sound effects. The parachute gliding is definitely not from Breath of the Wild. It's definitely not inspired by Fortnite. The running animation with the sword or the club is definitely not from Breath of the Wild. There's a lot of that. It's definitely not. So, but even though it has lots of, man, y'all should probably change that now that you have so many people looking at this. There's lots of that in this game, so we'll see how Palworld shapes up, because once again, 4 million players, 4 million purchases. These are straight up purchases, and we'll see how, this is just early access, so we'll see how Palworld continues its development. Hopefully with this massive injection of money, this lets the developers understand like, oh man, you got a hit on your hand, so now you gotta staff up, you gotta expand, you gotta make this project your own. You can't just keep using kind of generic assets or very recognizable assets from other games. Now is the time to really like double down and make a more distinct and more unique project out of this. Now that you know that everyone is interested, everyone is down, everyone already starting to pay some money, it's that time to make Palworld and not Fortnite, Breath of the Wild, pseudo Pokemon with maybe stolen animation rigs, or just like not stolen, but definitely not original animation rigs. Like, yeah, add some story, add some unique characters, get people really invested in this world. I think the potential's here, the groundwork is here. We've got the base, we got the floor on the ground, we got some pillars. It's time to put a roof over it, put some walls up, put some drapes and a toilet, a nice toilet, a pretty nice kitchen with maybe a little nook. I don't know. I think Palworld is gonna shape up into something interesting within maybe a year, but should you jump in now with all the hype? Probably. If you're one of those people who just wants to jump in and see what's going on, it might be worth your time, especially if you like survival games, because if you have fun with survival games, I think Palworld will be good. If you've been on the fence because you're a hardcore Pokemon fan, don't go into this thinking it's Pokemon. Stay on the fence and see what it shapes up to be within like a year or 6 months to a year. Like let's check in on Palworld in July and see if it's still any good. Let's see what improvements they make. Let's check in again in December and see what's going on. But yeah, that's going to be about it for Palworld. That's all I have to say about it now. I've only played like 6 hours of it or so I just wanted to give my initial impressions. It is fun. I like the monster designs. They're very cute, if not a little off-putting sometimes. The world is very strange with the guns and like the not maybe slavery. the monsters. But yeah, we're going in circles here. So Palworld is maybe pump the brakes on the Palworld hype and check in a few months if you haven't already checked in, because you're not a shill like me. Anyway, that's gonna be it for me. Stay safe out there. Let me know down in the comments if you're gonna check out Palworld, and if you are, hit me up. Let's play together, because I want to check out the multiplayer. It's fun. It's interesting. See you next time. See you in the comments. Stay safe out there. Like, sub if you enjoyed this video, and even if you didn't, just do it anyway. And I hope to see you again next time. I swear I'm working on Baldur's Gate 3. Not really, because this game came out and then Grand Blue's coming out, so we might not do a Baldur's Gate video. I don't know. Good night, good game. See you guys next time. Bye.